Hello everybody, this is BK2421 and today is February 26th and I have now listened to the new All That Remains album, The Order of Things, a few times, and this is my review of it. So previously I had talked about their first single on the album, This Probably Won't End Well, and in that video I also briefly explained my view on the first song that they released for this album called No Knock. To begin this album, they started out with those two songs, and I really thought that was a good idea. I like how that started out, so you already had a taste of the album, so it was, here's the intro, and now here's the rest of the album, so I liked how that was set up. In listening to these two songs on the actual album, I gained a bigger appreciation for the song This Probably Won't End Well. I just felt that the more I listened to it, the more I, just respected the song a little more. Phil's vocals grew a little bit more on me, and I felt that that was a good way to start the album because it was basically, it felt like a message. So he was acknowledging, at least what I gathered, is that this isn't going to be what the fans want, but this is what I want, and if they don't like it, too bad. Then the next song was No Knock, and they showed like, hey, we can still, we can still really be heavy. We can still kick your ass with some heavy, just being in your face. And then from that point on, the rest of the, they go to the rest of the album, which, to be honest, I dug the album. A lot of people are gonna, complain and be upset that they're, you're not gonna get the Fall of Ideals, All That Remains anymore, or Overcome, or This Dark and Hard or anything. And it is depressing, but it's time to look at this band and go, okay, this is the third album in a row now that they've kind of gone in this direction. It's not going to be the same anymore. They're growing, they're maturing. They want something more from their music, or at least Phil does. So it's time to look at this band in a different light. So I think now that they're this far into their career, I think where the direction path that they're going, I think we can officially label them, or at least I will officially label them as a bridge metal band, as I've explained in other videos. Bridge metal to me is just a band that that's heavier than hard rock, but isn't quite metal. So it's in the middle, and it allows people to really bridge the gap from the rock and roll and stuff like that, and the alternative over to heavy metal, and so that it's something easier to listen to. Bands like Avenged Sevenfold, Five Finger Death Punch, Bullet for My Valentine. Those are bridge metal bands in my opinion, and I think now All That Remains can be labeled as that. I had criticized Phil Labonte's vocals in my review of This Probably Won't End Well, and I've got to say, he really impressed me on this album. His voice still isn't quite, his clean voice isn't still quite enough to carry him throughout an entire album, but he definitely has a voice that that isn't bad. It's definitely something, he has chops, he has ability. I think he just needs to develop more of an identity with his voice, if that makes any sense. I just feel that sometimes it's kind of just him hitting notes rather than it actually coming from him. I hope you understand. But the clean to, scream ratio is about 70-30 on this album, which isn't bad, but I feel like if it was just 65-35, it would make it a lot better. A lot more fans would really appreciate it and enjoy it more. So if it was just a little more, then I think they'd be on the right track. Halfway after those first two songs, the album, the next song, Divide, happened to be my favorite, and then they really go into just this soft kind of part in the middle, and it kind of gets a little bland and kind of just But towards the end of the album, that's when they really start to introduce and go back to the screaming, and it kind of picks it back up in the end. The instrumentals were, very stellar, but kind of, for what the direction they were going, a little generic at times. Obviously, Ollie Herbert can really shred, and, I feel I want to hear him just, at least, this is a band that they're obviously going in a new direction, and I feel that this was a good start to their true new direction. They're almost there, but they've got, once they start to really go outside the box with their songwriting, and not just, because it is pretty repetitious at times what they do, and some of their songs do sound similar. So if they manage to create, different song structures, use different keys and tempos, then I think this is a band that can really flourish in the albums ahead. But I will say that this album was pretty solid. It's not great. It's not average. It's just it's a little above average. So I would say it's a solid album. I'm going to give it a 7.9 out of 10. Yeah. So let me know what you think about this album. Do you like what Phil did in this album? Do you like his screams or his cleans? How did you feel about the instrumentals? Did you agree or disagree with what I had to say? Please comment below about anything you would like to add, and we will talk. If there's any albums or songs you'd like me to review, comment below. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, and have a nice day.